Hi, everyone, and good evening to you. It's already 6 p.m. I should be starting this already. So, welcome to AVOA's first online webinar that we'll be talking about everything voiceovers. And it's a pleasure to see everyone here. I see a lot of people: Brown Tessie, Olusegun, Okedeji, Hope, I see you. Olaliko Ahmed, I see you. Evelyn Ikoba, I see you. And a lot of other people that are here already. It's a pleasure to be the host of this event. My name is Tolulope Kolade. I'm a voiceover artist, a podcaster, and also a voiceover coach and a member of AVOA. So for everyone that is joining, we welcome you. This is the first time we've been doing this, a virtual webinar for AVOA. And you don't know how delighted I am to be a part of this and to also be a host to this event today. So today we're going to be looking at a very interesting topic, which is something that cuts across every practitioner of the voiceover business in Nigeria and even globally. And it's about getting clients or getting gigs, getting voiceover jobs, both locally and internationally. And as an association that cares about voice artists in Nigeria, we deemed it fit to discuss this topic today. And the topic is getting voiceover gigs locally and internationally. And we also have some great speakers that will be talking about the different aspects of how to get jobs locally and internationally. Before I go into talking about the speakers, I know there's some people here who are coming for the first time, and you're learning or hearing about AVOA for the first time. Interestingly enough, we'll definitely have people like that. And there are some people who are, maybe members of AVOA, but then we should properly introduce AVOA. So if you're wondering, what is AVOA? AVOA stands for the Association of Voiceover Artists Nigeria, and it is the recognized body that protects the interest of voiceover artists in Nigeria and is dedicated to fostering the growth and development of the voiceover industry in Nigeria. So this association has been existing for over 2 decades now, and we are still pushing strong to ensure that we protect the interest of voice artists in Nigeria. Today, we're talking about getting voiceover gigs locally and internationally, and we're here to learn from industry experts on securing local and international gigs, branding for business success, maintaining client relationships, and a lot more. Securing gigs, and also, the brand that how you can properly position your business to get more voiceover gigs. Well, a lot of people are joining as I speak, and just a second to admit everybody. Great. So we have lots of people. Before I go any further, I would like to introduce, if not the number one person in AVOA as we speak right now, who is the president of AVOA. I can't see him on my screen, but I hope he's somewhere around. He has been around before now, and he's passionately committed and invested in seeing that voice talents in Africa, in Nigeria particularly, are protected and our interests are being pursued. So I'll be introducing the president of AVOA in person of Mr. Segun Arinze. And just before I introduce him, allow me to quickly read a little bit of his profile. Mr. Segun Arinze, popularly known as Black Arrow, is a multi-talented Nollywood actor, producer, director, singer, writer, voiceover artist. And his career in the entertainment industry started in the late 80s, and he has gained fame from a lot of movies that he has appeared in, over 200 Nollywood movies. As it stands right now, he's the president of the Association of the Voiceover Artists of Nigeria, and he been appointed as a member of the federal government of Nigeria COVID-19 Committee on the Creative Industry in 2020. He also served as the Actors Guild of Nigeria AGN and is currently the president of AVOA, as I've mentioned. And he's here today. He will be giving us a welcome address before we get into speaking or listening to our speakers who have been preparing to talk to us about how we can get voiceover gigs both locally and internationally. So I hope that the president can hear me now. Mr. Segun Arinze, if you're there, kindly unmute your mic, and would love to see your video as well as we listen to the opening address from you.
All right. Good evening. Thank you, everybody. It's very exciting times for us at AVOA, and we're slowly and trying our best to get our groove back on. After COVID-19 hit everybody, it's been a lull in the industry in terms of getting voice over gigs and doing all the things that normally will put food on the table and pick up your bills. So exciting times ahead for us at AVOA. We're picking up the challenge, and we want to ensure that these will become a regular occurrence, that from time to time we'll be engaging in webinars, we'll be engaging in training. I'm youth-centric. I believe in the youths of this country. I believe that we have a lot of youngsters that we can nurture and grow. And those who also have the experience, I believe that they will also learn one or two things from this webinar that we're doing. We have a lot of distinguished guests. First, the female president of AVOA is also here with us, Auntie Daphne. Mr. Bimbo is here, Emmanuel is here, and also to Lulok, I want to say big thank you, because this would not happen without you. I'm really, really so proud of you and grateful. So I look forward to having fruitful deliberations and sharing experiences in terms of how to get gigs locally and internationally. It's something that every one of us should learn from. I also would like to say a big thank you to my vice president and Joy and all the rest of members of my ESCO who have been like brothers and sisters to me. Tessie, Mezi, and Uteme. I really want to say I'm grateful to all of you, and let's continue to work and see how we can move AVOA in the right direction. In the forthcoming days, we'll be talking more about AVOA, but for now, let me just sit back, relax, like I will advise everybody, and enjoy a wonderful evening. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Segun Arinze. It's a pleasure to always hear from you. And thank you for making this possible as well, because without your approval and many other things that you've been able to set in motion, we wouldn't be having this meeting and this webinar, actually. So we appreciate you. And also thanks to everyone that has been able to join. A lot of people are here already. We have over 30 people, if I'm not mistaken. And just over the week, we're able to gather over 200 participants. People registered about 230, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a pleasure to host you all. And I hope that you have your writing pads with you, because we'll be learning from some top industry experts, and they'll be telling us how we can get gigs locally and internationally. I already see some of our speakers joining already. We've got King E, that's Mr. Emmanuel Afemike. That's the founder of the Voiceover Workshop and Media. It's a pleasure to have Mr. Emmanuel in the house. We also have the first female president of AVOA, in person of Mrs. Daphne Ben Okagwe, Ni Atere Roberts. It's a pleasure to have Auntie Daphne here. And we also have a Nollywood icon as well, and he's someone who is passionately invested in the voiceover industry. Has been here for many years, and he's also going to be teaching or speaking on one of the subtopics today. I'm talking about Mr. Bimbo Manuel. It's a pleasure to have Mr. Bimbo Manuel here. And one more person that we've got that will be speaking to us is a brother and someone who is not just a voice actor, but also an established on-air personality. I'm talking about, he's also a member of AVOA, by the way. That is Mr. Ahmed Olalekan. So these four amazing personalities will be taking us on how we can get gigs locally and internationally. I also like to let you all know that you can ask questions after each session. You can pen down your questions. There'll be a time for question and answers, actually. So be prepared for that. So it promises to be an interesting one. Before I call on the first speaker, who is going to be teaching us on how we can get gigs, secure gigs locally, allow me to give a rundown of the 4 sessions that we would be taking today. So first person that will be speaking will be Mr. Bimbo Manuels. Mr. Bimbo Manuel, I beg your pardon, is going to be talking about securing voiceover gigs locally. So what do you, or what should you expect from this session? We'll be focusing on strategies and techniques for finding and securing voiceover gigs within the local market. And this topic will cover things like building relationship with local clients, leveraging local connections and networks, marketing yourself effectively in your local area, and navigating local industry trends and opportunity. After that, we'll take another session from Ahmed Olalekan, who will be teaching us or talking on getting voiceover gigs internationally. And this topic will address strategies for expanding your voiceover business beyond your local market and tapping into international opportunities. We'll also talk about identifying global markets, tailoring your marketing and branding efforts for international clients, understanding cultural nuances, language consideration, and a host of other things. And I bet you after that session, you'll understand better how you can position yourself for getting international gigs as voice actors. We'll also be listening to the founder of the VoiceOver Workshop and Media and the convener of the VoiceOver Conference, Mr. Emmanuel Afemike. And he'll be talking about branding for voiceover business success. And this will focus on the importance of branding in the voiceover industry and how it can contribute to the success of your business. And it will also cover things like establishing your personal brand, creating professional and consistent brand image, developing a unique selling proposition, amongst other things. And finally, would listen to the first female president of AVOA, Auntie Daphne Atera Robert. Auntie Daphne, yes, and she'll be talking about maintaining clients' relationship. This will cover the importance of building and maintaining strong relationship with your voiceover clients for long-term success, among many other things. So, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for a very, very interesting learning experience as we commence this particular webinar. I already have Uncle Bimbo Manuel here with us, and I am sure Uncle Bimbo is ready. Uncle Bimbo, if you can hear me, can you just unmute your mic? I just want to be sure that we can communicate freely.
Okay, my mic is unmuted.
Oh, great. It's a pleasure to have you here, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, a very good evening to you.
Good evening to you too, sir. Just before I pass the mic to you, so you can start talking to us about how we can secure voiceover gigs locally, I'd quickly want to read a bit of your profile. So for those who don't know Uncle Bimbo, and I doubt if there's anybody here who doesn't know him because he's a Nollywood icon, he's a renowned figure, of course, in the entertainment industry with a prolific career.
I don't know him.
We know you very much. And, and like I was saying, he has a prolific career in broadcasting, writing, and acting with almost 50 awards and nominations, including prestigious accolades such as NMMA, AMVCA, NME, DAME, THEMA, and lots more. And he has established himself as a seasoned professional with outstanding achievements. Without further ado, I want to introduce or bring to stage on board Uncle Bimbo Manuel, who will be teaching us on how to secure voiceover gigs locally. Uncle Bimbo, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. And permit me to actually just say very quickly that it is not a teaching, it's just airing an opinion. Yeah, about getting local gigs, local voice gigs. Because I pondered this for a bit when I got the mail, and I thought, isn't this a bit like asking a veteran womanizer, how do you get a girl? You know, and I thought, well, these things vary person to person. Yeah, you know. It's about individual styles. It's about your personal character. It's about all those little things that come together to make the whole of us, you know. So I'll just be going through some of the notes that I made when I got the mail. their personal opinions, and I took the notes down in the hope that it will be useful to some of us. So I have, by the way, I have dogs in the house. I have dogs in the house. Occasionally they may bark and all that, but I've tried to, I've told them to try and keep them in control as much as possible. So securing local gigs. My take is that all voiceover gigs are local. Yeah. And in definite terms, the source of the patronage is not what makes it local or international. It is the playback medium that makes it whether local or international. That's my opinion, like I said. So getting voiceover gigs is not any different from getting acting gigs. I can speak about this because I'm also an actor, among other things. The call can come from anywhere. The gig can be performed anywhere. It could be in a local studio. It could be in your bathroom with your mattress, providing padding and insulation, anywhere. But where it plays back, its reach, the people who hear you, and so on, is what makes it local or global. That's my take. Many of us remember the season when Nigerian voices were frequently heard on CNN. Many people aspired to that because the context it was given was that, it's an international voice. But really, those voices are local. They just happened on CNN, you know. So it can be crippling, therefore, for budding voiceover artists to think that international gigs are beyond them. Every gig is local, and every gig has a potential to go international, to go global. Your voice can play anywhere, and your gig instantly changes the description. Just be good enough to deserve it. Finish. You know, if this assertion is therefore accepted as a truth of our practice, then it frees us to very quickly advance to the why, the when, the who, the what, and the very important one, how, which is the point of my presentation. So, why? Why do you want to look at a local gig? I would like us to first get this dross out of the door first. Giving particular attention to getting local gigs is in itself limiting for the artist in development. It cripples aspirations, it cripples professional success, and ultimately standard setting for oneself. I believe firmly that there is a global market for Nigerian voices everywhere. So long as it is clear, it is audible, and the diction is correct, and it is devoid of any affectation. So anyone can get local or international voice gigs on commercials, promos, documentaries, movies, etc. And they can come at any time. I remember a trip I made to the US. I was in New York, came over from New Jersey, and I was in Manhattan. We got lost. So we called a number to ask for directions. When the voice came in, it was an Indian voice. And when I asked why, can they find Americans who could do this? They said that voice was coming from India. Straight from India onto the streets of New York, giving descriptions. That's technology, but the point is that it could be your voice. If there is that kind of arrangement between where you live and anywhere else in the world, it could have been your voice that we were hearing on the streets of Manhattan. It is the artist's place to be available and ready when the call comes. And I repeat, the broadcast is what makes a gig global or local before the client. Of course, there are few implications to that. But it is not the purpose of my presentation. So I'm sure there will be someone else who will address that. Now, when do you get a gig, a local gig? For me, this is answered in one simple sentence. When you have understood and you have mastered your niche in such a way that you are so good, the client does not want to go anywhere else. You have cornered the market. That is the beginning of your local gig. One satisfied client will sell you to another till your reputation is so assured that you can name your own rates, even outside of the guild minimums. You become hot cake. So who gets a local gig? The artist who gets a local gig is the one who is prepared, works to constantly improve himself or herself, and makes deliberate, unrelenting efforts to network with the voice, producing, acting, advertising, live events, and other relevant communities. You cannot just be assured that one, your voice is good enough, two, your diction is excellent, and therefore people should come beating your door down. No, it does not work like that. If you don't step out, nobody knows you exist. Yeah. So what then is a local gig? Without any intent to play on words and their context and so on, local gigs are actually just those jobs that catch you where you reside, where you are known, where you are acknowledged for your competence and respected for your character. A local gig is as wide and varied as you prove to have competence, ranging from your voice drops on promos, jingles, songs, show hosting, live events compare, freelance broadcast, and a plethora of other opportunities for expression and livelihood. Yeah, so how then do we get these local gigs? Did I mention before when I started that my bit is going to be very short. It's going to be very short because as I implied at the beginning, I do not think that anybody can teach anybody how to get a girl. Yeah, just in the same way you really can't teach anybody how to get a gig. You know, this is something you hustle by yourself, right? So, but there are some basics for me. How do you get that gig, local gig? Now, let us be clear. There is no hard copy manual. That's the implication of what I said earlier, for getting those local gigs anywhere in the world. They don't have it in the UK, they don't have it in the US, they don't have it in France, they don't have it anywhere. People just air opinions. And I say this because over time, I've been fortunate to have interacted with some of them from those places, and I have also read up before now, and you just won't find those things beyond those basic things that I just tell you about how to behave, right? So my recipe will be divided into two major parts. Is somebody saying something?
Please go on, sir. We've muted.
Oh, all right. There's a hand up, and the person is talking. All right. So my recipe will be divided into two major parts. One is competence. Two is your personal hustle. I'll take the competence first. One, take a voice acting class. No matter how you use your voice for commercial purposes, you are indeed just acting. You are just acting as a seller, a storyteller, whatever. And no education is ever wasted. It only makes you better, especially if you get the right one. Be humble, just learn. Just learn at every opportunity. Remember that the voice business is an intellectual one. Huh? And you just have to know. If you don't know, you can only go so far. You would have failed if your client is the one who corrects your pronunciations, for instance. You would have failed as a voice actor. So education is key. First, get education before you start your hustle. You can take the low-hanging fruits to get Bolt money, Uber money, all that. But if you're aiming for the big time, get sound education first in the business. 2, practice constantly. Recognize that in today's world, knowledge is only transient. What you think you know today may be obsolete by the time you wake up tomorrow morning. Or you may have been wrong all along. There was an incident. A friend of mine, some of you will probably know him, so I won't mention any name, got a job, and the word was a documentary. The word was destined, and he called it destined. He was not only wrong, he argued it. And someone else had to do the job at the end of the day. So listen to other people, confirm that they are correct, and then correct yourself where you might have been wrong. 3, allow others to correct you. No one knows it all. Learn the broadcaster's posture. Breathe properly. Pace yourself when you speak. It will only make you sound better. 5, befriend a competent actor. Let him or her teach you a few tricks of acting that you can use in your own craft. A voiceover artist is in reality just a voice actor. So learn it. Learn it. You never even know when an opportunity to become an actor in front of the camera might come along just because of your voice and the little lessons you took. Excuse me. Practice warmth. Warmth. You will find that you are preferred when you are a warm, approachable person. It also shows through in your range as a voice actor. You do not impress anyone, especially the client and potential patrons, with your macho image and your religious disposition. I have to be calm. Yeah, it's not as if you go around making a nuisance of yourself, but it helps. If you're warm, it helps. What they want is who has the range to do it. 7, be current. Being aware of political, social, economic, and style trends never hurts. Never. It indeed is always a plus. Familiarity with those things means no one needs to school you when you encounter them in a script. Even if your view of them differs fundamentally with what is in the script, at least you knew before the script came along. It helps to be familiar with those things. 8, learn to pronounce names. Names of places, names of things, names of people, professional jargon, etc. It does not matter whether you speak the language or not. There is nothing people find more annoying than their names being pronounced wrongly. In fact, you can call somebody's name and it translates to that you're abusing them. many people will take offense. So that's your competence. Of course, it is not exhaustive. I'm sure there will be a lot more, and we'll probably hear in the course of the other deliveries that we have. So let's go to the hustle. The hustle as a voice artist. It may not matter to some people. It may not matter. But how you addressed is how you will be addressed. Present yourself well, dress well, speak without shouting at whoever you're doing business with. Even when you are upset, and some of them, I admit, can be annoying, irritating, push you to the limit. But it will surprise you that some of them will remember you for the way you react at that moment. So present yourself well, dress well, speak without shouting. By the way, it never hurts to wear a soft, pleasant deodorant. Even if you do not have body odor, it only makes you more interesting and those around you more comfortable. Don't take a bath in a fragrance because, you want to smell nice. You may actually end up smelling offensive. Yeah. It is worse than not wearing any at all when you do too much of it. Imagine working in the typical hot and cramped cubicles that we usually work in Lagos and everywhere else, most parts of Nigeria. And how unpleasant it may prove to your producer and fellow actors to stay in the same place, same space with you for long periods if you have an unpleasant smell. It is not far-fetched to imagine that your producer may decide against working with you just because you do not smell right. Network, that's number 2. No matter how good you are, if there is no connection between you and your client or potential patron, no one knows you. And it means there is no patronage if people don't know you. So step out of your comfort zone. It does not suggest that you therefore become a drunk or visit improper places and so on. You can network via a wide range of other means. Warm greetings, take telephone numbers, call people up once in a while without being a nuisance. Sit down to a chat with them when opportunity presents itself. Remember birthdays and anniversaries, etc. But be careful never to seem beggarly to anybody. Just be friendly without necessarily becoming bosom friends. You don't have to be anybody's bosom friend to get a job. They just need to remember you for the right reasons. Constantly work at expanding your network. 3, many people are going to smile at this, but it's a fact of business. Pro bono. Yes, we all can use a little money, a little more naira, and every naira counts, really. But do not be afraid to do the occasional pro bono job. Don't be afraid to do it. It connects you to an appreciative client who may be inclined to speak kind words about you to others who will pay good fees for your services. Keep a record of that job, and it will also look good on your CV, especially if you're proud of it and you know for sure that the client was happy. Capitals. A grumpy pro bono is not pro bono. It is a favor under duress. Let your pro bono be happy. Let it come from deep down, because they can tell if you are not happy. They may shake your hands afterwards and thank you profusely and all that, but they will remember that you would rather not have done it. They will remember. 4, use the social media. Life is easier for every professional who understands how to bend the many social media platforms to their own benefit. Make time, create a short story, write a small promo, voice it, drop it with your business number on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, etc. Deliberately designed to attract the attention of people who may need your services. Social media is not just play and for fun fooling. It is the most potent and effective business tool. Understand it, use it. 5, do not deceive yourself. If the truth be told, we all know that it is not every artist that can do every job. Be truthful to yourself. Identify your strength. Hone that competence so well that no one can match you in the way you deliver. Even your competition will confess in your absence, for this kind of job, there's also a person be the best to give up. Finish. Your local gigs are guaranteed as far as that kind of job goes. You are king. Be gracious, and you too recommend your friend who is better than you at any other kind of job. You lose nothing, you gain a lot. Respect is one of those things you gain. 6, connect with fellow voice artists. Relate. Even when you see them as competition, maintain good relations, tidy up your own character. Jobs come when others speak well of you in your absence. Jobs come when others speak well of you in your absence. Yeah. 7, try and get a copy of every job you do. Create a personal reel from them. Organize them in some particular order that compels listening, whether it's from low to medium to high tempo or any order that ensures that your full range as an artist is captured and expressed. 8, treat your career as a business. If you're casual about it, everyone will treat it with levity. You will not get more because producers mostly would wish to work with those who are so good and so serious that they are constantly busy, even if their fees are high. I had a conversation with my banker, or one of my bankers, some time ago, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. And he lectured me about something. I was trying to access some facility. And he said, look, bros, don't tell me you're one of those people who feel that what we're looking for is just collateral. I said, no. What else? What else can you possibly be looking for? You want to be sure that your money will come back. He said, no. That the biggest collateral that the bank, any bank, is looking for is your integrity. Your personal integrity. Not even the person that steps in to stand for you and all that. No. Who are you? In other circumstances and in relationships with other people, how have you performed? And he pointed at the example of the United States, where every citizen who has any business that has to do with money must have a credit history. If you don't have a credit history, you're not likely to get anything from anybody. So it is important for you as well, as a voice actor, so you have to be able to project a character that assures everyone around you and you come across in business as a person of integrity. Let us meet at AVOA in the studio at 7 a.m. and you live in Mowe. You live in Mowe. Be a person of integrity. Tell him or her, I am not going to be able to make it. Can we do 11 o'clock? If you now get there at 8 o'clock, the person will come at 11 and meet you there. It is better to do that than not to show up at 1 o'clock. Integrity. So let me just go straight to the end. There's a lot more that we could share, but let's just remember that, like acting, voice business is extremely competitive, and thankfully, it has nothing to do with your certificate, just how good you are at it. Yeah, your diction is local, and that is what your clients want. Clarity is king. Learn it. Expand your competence beyond studio voice and invest in your craft. Buy books, read, study, be humble. Never think you know it all already. Practice, listen to those who know, and so on. And I will take questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Uncle Bimbo Manuel. It's been an interesting time listening to you. You know, someone was just saying that for a free webinar, this is a lot of information. And I can attest to that. We really appreciate all that you said. I mean, a lot of beautiful nuggets were dropped about, you know, how you can ensure that your client trusts you. And these things can also be applied to different things in life. But then for the voiceover craft, it's important for us to understand a few things like networking, honesty, you know, and ensuring that you do professional jobs. So I know a lot of people may have questions to ask. I'll just say that you can please pen down your questions because we don't have much time. We need to go into the next session. So Ongumbimbo, you please stay with us till towards the end so we can take those questions and you can react to them accordingly.
No problem at all.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You.
So
thank you, everyone.
Thank you too. Let's move on quickly to the next session. And this time around, I have with me Olalekan Ahmed. Olalekan Ahmed is a broadcast media professional and an award-winning premium voice talent with over 15 years of hands-on experience. And he has done jobs for brands across the world, including Google, Netflix, Diego, MTN, Samsung, Coca-Cola, Nestle, and even in Nigeria, Fidelity Bank, and a whole lot of different organizations. For those that are just joining, I just have to say this just before I bring Olalekan on. You're welcome to the AVOA free webinar, and we're talking about getting gigs locally and internationally. We've just listened to Uncle Bimbo Manuel, and he spoke about getting gigs locally. Now we're talking about getting gigs internationally, and our next speaker, Olalekan Ahmed, will be taking us through that. So, Ahmed, if you can hear me and see me, I'd like you to unmute your mic and say hello.
All right, hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You look like a broadcaster.
How the broadcasters look?
I mean, that headphone speaks a lot.
Okay.
All right, so let's.
I'm talking my brother King E.
Professionals in the house. We'll hear from Kingi very soon, but let's start with you, Leko Ahmed. You have about 15 minutes. We want to know how we can get gigs internationally. Over to you now.
Okay, 15 minutes. Okay, let me just put my timer so I don't overshoot. Welcome everyone to this session. Basically, you've heard everything. We'll be talking about how to get gigs. I think there's this noise from somewhere. Where's it coming from? I hope it's not from here. Okay. So I have 15 minutes to talk about how to get gigs, video gigs internationally. And I think whether you're a seasoned voice actor or you're just starting out, I have a feeling that you might gain some insights on how to move your business, your video business to a whole new level. Uncle Bimbo said something very, very important when he started. He said, it's not a teaching. So we're not teaching anybody. I mean, there are professionals here who have been in the business for over 20 years. I mean, what kind of small guy like me be teaching people like that? So this is just me sharing my personal experiences. Like, I'll call them strategies that have worked for me. So if you think this is something you need, you might need to also take down some notes because I'll try to rush through them as fast as possible. So I'll be looking at three subtopics majorly. Number one, I'll be looking at insight into the current state of the voiceover industry and the trends to watch. That's the first thing I'll be looking at very briefly. I'll also be looking at how to create a professional demo, which is also a major part of getting video gigs that are international. And lastly, I'll be looking at tips for finding and applying for voiceover jobs internationally. Now, my story is not a peculiar story. I know not a number of voiceover talents who have a similar story. You know, how you get online, you get your first gig and you get paid in dollars and you're like, wow, see money. You get the second one and you're like, this thing is really working. You know, you get the third one and it becomes a norm. You do it over and over again. I know a number of voice talents in Nigeria who, as a matter of fact, they earn more money doing jobs outside the country than doing jobs in the country. So I believe by the time we look at these few points I have jotted out, we should be able to pick a few strategies. So the first one we're looking at is changes in the industry. The voiceover industry has changed drastically. Like, matter of fact, it's still changing. Number one, there's this increase in the demand for diverse voice talents. Before now, the trend used to be, I mean, for you to be in the industry, they have to have the same broadcasting. You must have a microphone voice. You know, that voice of an announcer. That's what stands you out before now. So if you're going for a voiceover gig, say for an audition or something, they hear you speak and they're like, this voice is tiny. No, you can't do voiceover. All that has changed now. Matter of fact, there are professionals worldwide who do not have a microphone voice. They have funny sounding voices, but they have made a lot of money doing voice acting. So that's number one. The industry is changing. We have to understand that as voice talents, brands need different accents, different voice tunes, different gender, children. There's an opportunity for everyone. I mean, the voice market has grown very, very big as we speak right now. So if you were in that space where you used to say, no, my voice is like this, my voice is like that, these are the kind of jobs I do, you're restricting yourself. The global market is actually bigger than that. Secondly, growth of e-learning and explainer videos, that's also getting big. I mean, these days there are webinars, there are ebooks, there are e-sessions here and there. They need voices to narrate the states. And it will draw some points from the first point I listed, the first point I mentioned. A lot of times they don't need the conventional announcers, the people with big voices. They need the everyday kind of voice. You know, people who just talk normally, depending on the people they're trying to meet, depending on their target audience. So we have to understand that the market is growing. We're looking at insights, changes in the industry generally. Also, another major change that I think is going to get bigger is the aspect of remote work. Now, work has moved away from what it used to be before. So before now, it used to be, say, a brand like Red Bull Pink is coming into Nigeria, and you hear things like, oh, let's go to Lintas Lintas is an advertising agency. I don't think Lintas still exists anymore. But you hear people say the marketers will tell you, let's go to Lintas. So they get the advertisers, they get the marketers, they come together, they get a video talent. Okay, this voice is going to be good for it and all that. All that is changing right now. There are global brands who need international, who need to reach African audiences like Nigerians, Kenyans, South Africans. They don't go to this, a number of them don't go to those big agencies anymore. They go to smaller, they go to individuals. Sometimes they even go directly to the voice talents. I mean, they watch your track record, they watch your trails on social media, on the different platforms you operate on, and they come to you directly. So that has changed. And one major reason I'm talking about this is because it's going to form a major foundation for the last point. If the industry is moving from a space where ad agencies who used to stand between the clients, the advertisers, and the talents, if those ad agencies are moving away now, it means the talent has to be properly positioned to make themselves visible for the brands to see them and work with them directly. So why that is important is I have a few people that I do some video mentoring for every once in a while, not professionally, but just on the side, we just talk about things. One thing I always tell them is, if you're a voice talent in this age, 2021, imagine 2021, 2023, if you're a voice talent in this age and you don't have a home studio, then you're not taking your business seriously. It's either you're just playing, you're just having fun, you're not taking it seriously. It's either you're just having fun or it's something else. Every voice talent that cares about growing his or her business must have a remote recording setup. It might just be a laptop, maybe a sound card. I mean, that's not a part of what I should be talking about, but I'm just putting that in. A laptop, a sound card, small things that you can just do your recording. Because these guys, this global guys who want you to do ads for them, run videos for them, they like it when they call you up and they're like, we want to get this done, and you're available to deliver. So that's one of the most important things. So it stands you out. So number one, if you're listening right now and you don't have a recording setup, that's the first thing you should look at. You should find a way to get that, because the industry has changed drastically. So what I help you do is, okay, let me put it here. Some of the platforms where these jobs can be gotten from, online platforms, they are pay to play platforms where you get to pay, you subscribe to the platforms, and when jobs come in, sometimes you bid for the jobs. Some of the other platforms, they send jobs to you. Platforms like Voice 123. I'm talking about platforms that I work on where I think I get jobs, not general platforms where people work. Voice 123, I've been with them for a while now, and I've done a couple of jobs for them. Voices.com, I've done a couple of jobs for them. Voquents is also big. I've done a couple of jobs for Voquents. Voicecrafters.com, I've also done a couple there. Then Upwork is a bit underrated, but trust me, there's a lot of work happening there also. So we'll talk about that before we wrap up the session. So wrap up that first point. The industry is changing drastically. A lot is happening, and as voice talents who are success-minded, we have to learn how to change with the industry. What's happening and move with it. The last point in that subtopic is increase in natural conversational style. So if you've been having interactions, if you've been doing jobs with some of those global clients, you understand that the kind of videos, the kind of renditions that they like is not what we're used to in Nigeria. So ideally, if you're doing a commercial for Nigeria, we still have this hype thing, buy one, get one free, everyone deserves a choice, dude. So they don't do that anymore. In the US, in the UK, a lot of them don't do that anymore. So they kind of like it when you're more conversational. You just talk, they tell you talk the script. We've been hearing this talk the script for a long time, but they say talk the script. We still go about that energetic dramatization and all that. The video business is moving away from that. So if you're eyeing the international markets, that's also something you might need to start practicing. I mean, move away from, I'm not saying you should avoid the way we do our commercials and all the recordings in Nigeria, but try to practice these other ones, conversational recordings, conversational voice acting sessions and all that. Those things are very key. Now, number two, this one I'll just rush over it because it's also not a part of my focus area. Demo reels. Now, demo reel is a critical tool for showcasing your voiceover work. So I hear people with voice talent sometimes say, I did this demo in 2016. I mean, it's for people who take their VO business seriously and who want to play on the international space. You can't have a VO that is older than 2 years and you still have it in your portfolio on any of these platforms. Voices.com, Voice123, Voquent, these platforms I've mentioned earlier. The demo has to be as new as possible. In broadcasting, there's something we say that you're as good as your last performance. So if you did something in 2019 or 2020 and in 2023, you've not seen anything wrong in that thing, there's a problem. So as much as possible, the demo should be as fresh as possible. Matter of fact, what I do is I try to do at least one demo in a month. So I update my platforms every now and then. I update my profiles right on those platforms every now and then, at least one demo every month to keep it fresh. So, okay, sometimes when I listen to my demo, the demo I did last year, as early as last year, I just laugh and I'm like, this is sounding funny. So that's also very important to keep your work fresh all the time. So secondly, sometimes people do demos and they just produce the demos themselves. We need to understand that on the international space, there's this competition with thousands and thousands of voice talents who are core professionals. So whatever you're putting out has to be our best foot. Whatever is going out. So I always advise, if you're not a professional producer, you're not a professional sound person, don't produce your demo yourself. As much as possible, try to get a professional to do your demo. It makes it stand out. Because on these platforms, or the global platforms, from my experience, what they do is when they're looking for a job, there's a way the algorithm works. They just find jobs that match certain vocal qualities. And if you fall within that range, what they do is they listen to everything. So imagine a situation where you have a poorly produced demo. I mean, that's a minus for you already. They don't even listen to the next second. The moment they play it and it's sounding funny or poorly produced, they just move on to the next one. So imagine someone who is trying to hire a talent and you have like 20, 30 other people waiting. You listen to the first one, poorly produced, you just moves on. So as much as possible, it's something that has worked for me. Try to make sure that your demos are professional. I know some elders in the business might ask questions here, but it's something that I've tested over and over again. Professional demos will always stand you out. I mean, you can see those things. You can see the number of people viewing and liking your demos when they are professionally done. So that's also very, very important. Try a variety of range in your demo. Don't make it just one. Sometimes people just do just for commercials. You see a demo for just commercials. You can do something for an ebook. You can do something for e-learning. You can do a voice acting line, something. Just make it as diverse as possible. That way, you're keeping yourself open to clients who will go through and make picks. So lastly, the last point, which is my main talking point for this webinar, getting jobs internationally. So I just run through some of the platforms that I use that work for me: Voices123, Voices.com, VoiceCrafters.com, Voquents.com, and Upwork.com. These are platforms that I get jobs every once in a while from. And key things that I've learned working with these guys over the years is, number one, they need original accents. Your accent has to be original. You have to speak, because when they come on these platforms, they are looking for originality. That's the main thing they're looking for. So if they need to reach a market in Kenya, for instance, and they're looking for Kenya voice talents, that's what they are looking for. So there's this thing we have. This, I don't know if it's a mindset that we have. For you to be a fine broadcaster, a top voice talent, you have to sound like the American man. Hey, what's up? What are you doing? How are you trying to take this through? You know, what's happening? No, that's a lie. If you're sounding that way on these platforms, trust me, chances of these are things, as I said earlier, it's not a teaching section. I'm just sharing some strategies that worked for me. So on some of those platforms, I had some demos that sounded that way. And every once in a while, I look at the algorithm of how those demos have performed. And you see that those demos, they don't listen beyond the first 10 seconds. The moment they listen, you see everything there. You see it. The moment they listen beyond the first 10 seconds, they're off. So you can see your demos that people like. Oh, they like, it looks like they like, what did I hear? So the lesson that I've learned from that is every demo I put on any of those platforms, as much as possible, those demos have to be original. I mean, you can't be more English than the Englishman. So on those platforms, remember, those platforms are not Nigerian-based platforms. Those platforms are populated by foreigners, Australians, Englishmen, Americans, who have this press spread that we try to do sometimes. So imagine a brand like, say, Coca-Cola, looking for an American voice. And you have somebody like me, and you have people like, say, Brian. So you have people like Joanne and Matrix, some of the top guys on some of those platforms. There's no way I stand a chance competing with those guys. So it's not about who has more experience now. It's about, the first thing is about the accent, the language. That's what they want. Who are they trying to reach? They need to speak the language of the people. So the moment I fail that test, they listen and they hear my voice like, this guy is trying to be fake. Why is he? Hello, welcome to the AVOA webinar. They just know it's fake. They know you're not original. So that marks you out originally. So what that does, what that teaches me is that whenever I'm putting out a demo to get an international job, I make it as original as possible. So that if you come and you say you're looking for African talents, find me, you play my voice, the first thing you hear that African accent that you want. It keeps you there, it keeps you listening. Now you're looking for an African talent and you get to my demo and you play, you're hearing something like sounding Australian, a mixture of Australia. Sometimes we mix England and America, British English and American, all those things, they just rule you out. So that's number one. I've also noticed something that people who have, if you watch closely, people who are really accented on some of these platforms, they have more jobs than people who have plain accents. Why? Because when they find people who give them jobs, actually we're looking for people who have those accents. So if your accent is, if you're forming English, you're forming British, Australian, you're knocking yourself out of that race already. Because there are thousands of people who are competing for that job, and it puts you in a very bad position. So that's one. Keep all demos as natural as possible. You don't need to fake. There's no point faking anything. I mean, we saw it in the first point I highlighted. This industry is changing drastically. It's changing every single day. Sometimes you sleep in the night and wake up in the morning, everything has turned around. So original accent is key. Number two, one of the things I've talked about, the demo has to be as professional as possible. Also very, very important is the issue of networking. I believe King E will talk about that, networking and branding. King E will talk more about it. That's a space. Branding in the sense that you should stand for something. As voice talent, you should stand for something. In as much as it's okay to do a variety of things, you can do this, you can do that, but there has to be a niche that you stand for. Learn your niche, know your niche, carry your niche with your full chest, as we say in Nigeria. Is one thing that also makes us stand out on those global platforms. Know your niche. Sometimes you might not get jobs immediately. Yes. I think you're sounding too local, provided you're saying the words the right way. You're not saying favorites when you should say favorites. I'm not talking about pronunciation and all. The pronunciation should be apt. In as much as they want your local accent, they also don't want you to confuse them. When you're saying, you're supposed to say bird and you're saying bed, they're like, is he saying bird? Or, those are not the things I'm talking about. I'm talking about the accent, the originality of how we sound. That is what they look at basically. So find your niche, understand your niche, build on your niche. So a lot of times these jobs don't come immediately. Sometimes it takes like, Tico, how many minutes do I have left?
You can just start rounding up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes a lot of time. So for instance, on voices.com. So sorry, I need to mention some of those platforms you pay to play, like voices.com. You have to pay as much as $600 every year. It's a lot of money for us in Nigeria. But I mean, by the time you start getting jobs, you find out that it's not too much money. You can always pay and get jobs. But also, even if you don't have the money to pay, it doesn't mean you can't register. Now, the first job I got on voices.com, the very first job I got there, that job was worth $700. I wasn't a subscribed member when I got that job. So that I'm trying to tell you this not to discourage you from saying, where will I get $600 to register? So they just reached out to me. I didn't apply for a job. They obviously listened to my demo and they found something that sounded like what they wanted, and they reached out and I got that job. So it shouldn't discourage you and say, I don't have that money. I don't have. Just go on the platform, keep your work original as possible. And with time, sometimes you just need to update, keep doing activities on those platforms. There are algorithms that read to show people who are active and inactive. The more active you are, the higher the chances of you showing up at the top. The less active you are, people will search and they might not find you. So that's also very important. So now let me just touch on Upwork briefly before. I'm not an Upwork ambassador, but I've learned something. I think if I don't share it on this platform, it will be very bad of me. Upwork is a platform that pays very, very low. We heard Uncle Bimbo say something about, he said something about pro bono. So I think for international gigs, if you're looking at getting international gigs, Upwork is not a bad platform to try the pro bono thing. I'll shock you. 2 years ago, I got on Upwork full time. I used to just go in once in a while. What kind of $5, $10 job is this? I beg you. But 2 years ago, I just made up my mind. I said, okay, let me try this based on experiences from other platforms. And I went on the platform, and the first job I got was a $10 job. And I have a recording set. So you see, we've gone back to why you should have a set. If I didn't have a recording setup, it would have been impossible for me to pull that through. I got a $10 job and I pulled it through. The next time I got a 20. The next time, it kept increasing like that. So I've been there for 2 years now. And as it stands now, I've not taken any job that is less than $600 on Upwork, as cheap as they say it is. Why? I started with $5. So the point I'm making is sometimes these sacrifices have to be made, and it doesn't happen overnight. It builds over time. I remember I mentioned earlier I had to do auditions for like some jobs, for some platforms like voices.com. I did up to 50 to 60 auditions. I auditioned for 50 to 60 jobs before I was able to click my very first video there. But after then, the moment you have a review, it's easier. People can come and say, okay, this guy has done something before. Oh yeah, they easily contact you. And you have a profile that has nothing, no review. So all these opportunities, I'll take Uncle Bimbo's word again, these pro bono opportunities. Some of them might not be very huge. They might say, okay, it's $50, $60. I don't think it's a bad idea to take that as a start, because it helps you, it gives you a review, it positions you as a talent that has experience, that has worked on the platform before. And in the future, there are prospects for you also working on this platform. So maybe, who knows? You might start with 50 today, tomorrow it becomes 100, next tomorrow 1,000, 2,000, and we'll start sharing the dollar story together. So I think my time is up already. I'll just drop anchor here. And maybe there are questions. I'll be glad to just talk about that.
I think it deserves a round of applause too. Thank you very much, Ahmed Olaliko. I mean, that was a powerful session, all in the space of less than about 20 minutes, I guess. But then for a free webinar, I say it again, we are enjoying premium content. And for those that are just joining, you joined at the right time. You've missed a session though, but we still have 2 more sessions left to go. And we just listened to Ahmed Olaliko talking about how you can secure gigs internationally. A lot has been said, but I don't want to go through them again because of our time. We need to get to the next speaker who is, ready to also give us another firebrand session. I've listened to him speak a lot of times, and I tell you, he's loaded, right? But just before I introduce the next speaker, they say give honor to whom honor is due. Also with us in the building, of course, we can't have an AVOA without people running and managing the affairs in AVOA. And that's why we have some executive members of AVOA that has been, holding forth and ensuring that the vision of the association is kept alive. And I'm talking about the executive team members of AVOA. and I'm just going to just mention a few of them that some of them are here actually. We have Malam Abdul Mohammed, who is the vice president. Well, you can virtually clap for them with a smiley or whatever emoji you can use to do that. Okay, so I beg your pardon. The president spoke at the beginning of this webinar. That's in person of Mr. Shegun Rinze, and it was a very lovely welcoming speech or welcoming address. We also have the General Secretary of the association, who is Joy Ogbekene. She has also been very, very helpful. Joy, we celebrate you. Tessie Brown has been around from the beginning of this session as well. That's Tessie Brown, who is the financial director and executive of AVOA. We recognize you, Mrs. Tessie Brown. Also, we have the publicity director, Udeme Udom. Udeme Udom is the publicity director, and I tell you, she has been doing an amazing job to ensure that AVOA keeps, holding forth in that regard. And finally, I'd like to recognize the business director, Michael Nambuchi. I hope I got that correctly. He is the business director for AVOA. So these are the executive member of AVOA that has been doing a lot to ensure that AVOA remains strong and is moving forward. All right, so we'll go to the next session quickly. And this time around, I've got in the building a very, very powerful voice talent in Nigeria and in Africa. And why I say he's powerful, because I had him in a very recent episode of my podcast, and he said something. He said, we are building soldiers in the industry, voiceover soldiers. So for someone to build a soldier or to build soldiers, he must be a general himself. I'm talking about another person than King E, Mr. Emmanuel Afemike. King E, I know you can hear me. I can see you smiling. Just say something. We want to hear your powerful voice.
Hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. It's a pleasure to have you. It's a pleasure to have you.
It's good to be here. Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
All right. So I'll just introduce Kingi properly with his profile, and I'll pass the mic to him. Mr. Emmanuel Macaulay Afemike, also known as Kingi, is a renowned voiceover artist, audio producer, and the founder of the Voiceover Workshop and Media in Lagos, Nigeria. With over 11 years of experience, Kingi is dedicated to elevating the voiceover industry in Africa through training, conferences, and contests while striving for profitability. And talking about conferences, he's also the convener of the Voiceover Conference, Africa Pioneer Conference, and the Voiceover Conference will be happening next month, so you all should watch out for that. He also is the convener of the Nigerian Voice Acting Contest, which I happen to be the winner of the first edition about 2 years ago. So it's a pleasure to host, or to host Kingi on this platform. Kingi, you're welcome. And he'll be talking to us about branding. Yes, branding for voiceover business success. Over to you, Kingi.
All right. Thank you so much, T-Code. I really appreciate it. First and foremost, thank you to the executives and management of AVOA for this opportunity. Big shout out to everyone. My very Egbon, Shegun Rinze, Mr. President, sir, I recognize your government. Thank you so much for granting me this opportunity. And to every executive member, thank you. God bless you. And to the speakers, Uncle Bimbo Manuel, Mr. Ahmed himself, I celebrate you, and of course Auntie Daphne, who is yet to speak. I mean, I have to wait for that session as well. Thank you so much. So quick one, I will just jump right into what I'm supposed to do here. We have just 20 minutes. It's weird. I don't know what we're going to talk about within that time, but let's try to see what we can do. Maybe we just have a brief chat, and then we see how much we can get. The question I would want to ask everyone is, sure, you'd get something where you sell. Are you selling something? Because I don't think it makes sense to talk about branding if you have nothing you're selling. So if you're not selling anything, you can do us a favor by either leaving the class or staying just in case there's something you can learn. But branding for voiceovers must be spoken about with mindsets that there's something selling. And in this case, your voice, right? So what does it mean to really brand your voice? What let's even start from the beginning. What is branding? I'll try as much as I can to rush through my notes and see how much we can do within the time I have. But when you think branding, what do you think about? I just want one person to answer. I like my sessions being very conversational. So if it's possible that one person can just quickly give me something to work with. Roslyn Jethro. Yes, please, quickly.
Rosaline, kindly unmute your mic.
Unmute your mic and let's just have you quick. Thank you so much. We can't hear, or is it just me? I hope it's not just me. We can't hear you.
I can't hear it too, so.
Okay.
Okay, UC Royal.
UC Royal, aha, okay, hi. Please speak.
Okay,
speak.
hi.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Please, yes,
All
take
right.
it away.
Good evening. All right, so I basically think that branding has to do with identity, how you identify yourself and what you do, your craft, whatever it is you're selling, and also how you basically set yourself apart from every other person, right? How do I
Yep.
identify you?
Mm-hmm.
Really branding, identity.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, UC Royal. That was just it. Right. Branding is for me, I would say it is a process of creating your identity or an identity for your business or for your voice. And the reason for creating that is to be top of mind for your target audience, or be in the mind of your target audience or consumers or customers. If you listen to what I said it is the process of creating a distinct identity. Okay, it's not just about creating an identity, it's about creating one that is distinct. Okay, and there are two things there that I think that I want to really just touch on. The first one is process, and the second one is distinct identity. So branding is not something that you start and conclude within a day. Okay, that is what when you bring out the word process from that word, it simply means that it is a continuous occurrence that's constantly improves, or that is constantly improved upon. Okay, so take your mind out of the fact that, oh, I know branding, I have done it, and really I'm fine and good, I'm home and dry. It is a continuous process. And the second thing is distinct identity. That is something that characterizes you, or that the character that you have that distinguishes you from other people, or like UC Royal said, it distinguishes you. But the truth is that you can't talk about branding without mentioning, of course, your company's logo, your visual design, your mission and tone of voice, and all of that. It simply means that branding is not just about logo. Some people also think that branding is, or when you talk branding, oh, my logo, the color, I want to select a particular color. Oh, I like blue. I like, a gamma lizard red, stuff like that. And that's the identity, or that's the branding. But your branding goes past all of that, touching on the quality of your products, to your customer service, and sometimes even to the price that you put on your brand and in all your products. In this case, your voice. That's why when you talk about Apple products, when you talk about Samsung, when you talk about certain products, you generally see them as premium. Sometimes it is because of the quality, sometimes it's because of the price, and all of that has now combined together to make your branding, or to make your business branding, as it were. So when you think of branding as a voiceover talent, Don't just think, oh, okay, the color that I like, right? I love orange, and because of that, I want my graphic designer to take orange and a bit of turquoise and put it together, and that's my branding. Okay, your branding is the quality of work you deliver to your clients, when your integrity, right? Like Uncle Bibo Manuel said, your integrity, when you say, oh, I would deliver this job at this particular time, are you delivering? So some people will say branding is a promise, what you promised your client that you would deliver to them. All right, so think of it as all of that put together, the tone of your voice, how you talk to clients or your potential clients or customers or your audience, even on social media, how you communicate with them. When people send you DMs, how quickly you respond and how you respond to them. And when they're asking even funny questions, able to keep your cool. So at the end of the day, it's a combination of all of that. When people come to your office, what do they see? When you are invited for an event, how do you show up? When you're supposed to record a video for an invitation or something, how is the general quality, right? People who work with me, my team, most of the time, they'll say I am a perfectionist. I still don't believe it. I don't think I am. Because I keep improving. T-Code is laughing, okay? But I don't think generally that I am. I just think that I like quality, right? When it comes to the audio, what I want to put out, even if the audio is recorded in a very bad situation or terrible condition, I still want to see how. I just want to improve it better than how I got it, okay? And when you say, oh, King E, please do me a video, I have an event coming up, I probably will set my lighting and try to look for how the background is really nice, or I put a bit of, blur in the background so that it just pops up nicely or something like that. That just gives it a bit of, something that is just more than the average, or something that is better improved. So at the end of the day, it's a combination of a lot of things, right? The tone of when people come to your office, what do they see? What do they feel? Do they feel sad? Do they feel like, okay, this place is a happy place, or this is a place that can inspire people? When people work with you, do you encourage them? Do you appreciate what they do? So it goes past just, logo and how it looks and stuff like that, right? You need to understand that your brand is top of mind is in the mind of people when you have made them feel really good sometimes. And that goes past how your logo look. Your logo might just be one straight line and you make people feel really terrible and they won't buy from you. And it might just be one straight line and you make people feel really good and you deliver what you say you will when you say you will, and the kind of quality that you say you will give to them, and they are loving you and promoting everything that you do. So at the end of the day, it goes past the logo. It's really about how much people feel what you do, how much you're able to connect with your target audience and the likes. All right, there's more to this thing, but I am trying as much as I can to run through the whole thing. All right, now, but why is it important, really? Why are we talking about branding? Why is this thing even relevant? And like most of us already know, it's for recognition. People recognize you, or recognize your product when even when you're not there, because of how much they know your brand, because of how much they can feel you even in your absence. They can also quickly identify. Let's not forget that in all that we say, regardless, there's the brand identity, of course, which is very important, which helps people to recognize you easily. You recognize MTN from Airtel because of those individual differences that they have, right? And one of the first things that you come in contact with is their brand identity, or let's say their logos and the colors and all that, which is why a lot of people are more particular about all of those than the real body of work that goes into your branding, right? So yes, recognition. People recognize you because of your identity And that is why it is very important. There are lots of people. You heard that competition is high. Now, why should I recognize you? Why should I pick UC Royal, for instance? I see some of the work. Why do I pick voiceover workshop, for instance, and say, okay, this is voiceover workshop? There are certain things that make you identify quickly. Why should I pick AVOA and say, okay, this is AVOA? There are certain things that, you know, brings that recognition. And another thing is professionalism. A lot of big organizations will work with you because they see you as a professional. And one of the ways that you can position yourself as a professional is by, you know, what your business looks like on the outside. Trust me, I've had towards the voiceover conference, I've had to have meetings with a lot of organizations, right, both home and abroad. And I realized after some time that these guys go to look and check us out and see what we're up to, right? And they can decide, they can come to a conclusion of who we are just by looking at, you know, activities that we've been carrying on online. And it's important that as a voiceover professional, or as someone who is into the business of voiceover, or voiceover entrepreneur, as it were, you are able to look professional from the outside. It's important. Just like I keep referring to Uncle Bibo Manuel, it's important to understand that it is the way you're dressed that you are addressed. And this also goes into how your brand is seen. It is the clothes that you wear, your brand, you know, your branding and all of that is like the attire, okay? The wrapper where you tie the company that people see from the outside before they even come close to the company. What do they see, right? And that will present you as someone that is professional enough because of what you or how you look. And it's important that you put that as important. Now, your target audience might appeal to your target audience as well for you to have like a proper branding, right? You realize that sometimes you buy something just because of how it looks. Okay, sometimes you go to a store and you see a drink, it's you've never tasted it, but it looks so nice. You don't know whether it's whether it's good, but there's just the way it looks, right? You want to have it. You see Mercedes, it's expensive, yes, but people go ahead to buy it because there's just the way it looks, right? And they have built those brands to appeal to their target audience. Right, and that's one of your work. You are not, see, you do not buy your product. You have your product already, so you most likely not buy it. People who buy your product are people who don't have it, and you want to appeal to them, right? You want to try as much as you can. Sorry, I think there's a message for Mr. T Code. Is everything well? Oh wow. Wow, I thought I've not started talking. All right, so there's a lot more. I don't know this oh wow, we have to. All right, let's see what we can do. This is not nice. All right, consistency, emotional connection, competitive edge. These are the things that, you know, that branding helps you to do. But I think somewhere that is important right now that we quickly just want to do is one thing that I think first of all, do you have, I think we should define your USP, unique selling proposition. I think we should just jump right into that because you know, and it is that thing that stands you out. You need to be able to define it. You need to be able to define it. So one thing that you want to do for me quickly in 1 minute, I need you to go into your kitchen or wherever your spoons are and bring all the kind of spoons that you have in your kitchen. Please quickly do that. If you can turn on your video at this point, I think that you should do that. Please, 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 please. I need us to quickly do that. Please go into your kitchen and get some spoons. I have mine here. I already did that. So let's define unique selling proposition. Please, I need you guys to do it. Please put on your videos. Let's just quickly do that. All of these are spoons, right? My wife didn't know that I went into the kitchen to pack all of this. Someone day of his mercy and go into the kitchen and please, if you can, I need you to do that quickly. We have our time is this I was just starting, but it's obvious that we don't have enough time, so we can always talk about this maybe some other time, right? Please, who has done it? Who has done it? I need someone that has done this. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Yes, you see, Royal. I see.
See you here.
Yes, Gordon, I see. Yes, you have one spoon there. Who else? Ahmed, I see you. You see, you have two there. All right. Who else? For last Saturday, I'm seeing your shadow. I don't know why, but I think you have something. Yes, praise. Aha. Now, in defining, thank you so much, guys. You guys are amazing, right? In defining your unique selling proposition, it is simply what's the unique thing that you can do. Now, let's look at these spoons, right? Just take these spoons as voiceover talents. We are plenty in the market. Abi, what I mean, we are very plenty in the market, right? But because we have these spoons have different, purposes, and that's how we as individuals who are in the voiceover industry, are. Now, this is one spoon. I think I might go and consult. What is this spoon do? When I go into the kitchen, I can decide to use this spoon for stew. I feel decide use and fetch rice, even if it's a wrong move, right? But we all know for the women here, they will tell you what this spoon is for. This is a spoon, oh, the name is a spoon, I believe so, right? Now I have this one. It is also a spoon. This one, at least I know what this is used for. I use this for when I want to drink tea and all of that. When I want to chop rice, I know they carry this one. When I want to chop pasta, I know go use this one. But it is still a spoon. Now this one, right? You can see it very well. Hey, guy Greta, I see your spoon there. Now that one said, I know. Okay, that one had to carry plantain for inside fire, that kind of thing. All right. Now we have this one. Okay, it might maybe for frying different things, and you see the reason all these holes there now, so that maybe water or oil go fit come out. Okay, we have this one. This one has, you see, it gets deep. So maybe now, sometimes they go party, you go see all those caterers, they go use and fetch rice, come press, and they don't want to give person plenty food for management's sake. They go put out only one. After hungry don't beat you since morning, they'll give you one of these. You guys should fear God. But this is a spoon. And we have this one too. Okay. And then we have this. You can see maybe for frying pancakes, you can turn it easily. The thing will still be normal and whatnot. We have this one. Maybe now for, spaghetti. When you want, you go use a carry. I see all these hook. You go use a hook arm. But at the end of the day, we have what? We have spoons that are used for different reasons. And if I will buy this spoon because of its usage and buy this one because of now, even though you have like different clients who are interested in spoons, they will buy these things because of their uniqueness. And that is what you need to be able to define as a voiceover talent. And if you're able to define that, it doesn't matter what is going on in the industry, you will still get your clients because people will buy from you because you are unique and you're special and they need you for a particular purpose. See, there's plenty to talk about, but I would just drop this here because of our time. I don't like to use more than my time so that they can call me another day. So thank you so much. It's been good talking with you. I hope that you've learned a thing or two. My name is Emmanuel Makole Aptenike, King E. Keep learning, keep growing. Talk is cheap, but your voice can be expensive. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Kingi. I mean, if you enjoyed this class, it's already a class. I mean, it's supposed to be just a session from a webinar, but then Kingi has a way of just, making these things stick to your head. So just give him a round of applause virtually, anyhow you want to do it. Drop the emojis. Thank you very much, Kingi. That was an awesome session. The need for us to brand. And I'm telling you, a lot of us won't forget in a long time, because we saw different types of spoons. Anyway, because of our time, there's no time to really talk so much. Would love to go into the next session. And I just have one instruction for us. If you're really enjoying this webinar, which is free, by the way, because you don't get to have Uncle Bimbo Manuel, Mr. Shegun Arinze, King E, Ahmed Olalekon, Auntie Daphne, and a host of other people on the same webinar at once, and it's then free. I mean, come on, you should give it up for AVOA as well. So if you're enjoying this webinar, take a screenshot right now and put it on your Insta story or on your WhatsApp or wherever it is and tag AVOA. We are at AVOA_Nigeria on Instagram. Do us that favor. Let people know that you are enjoying a valuable webinar from AVOA, and we'll really appreciate. All right. So the next session, of course, we can have great men talk about the voiceover industry, talk about growing and getting gigs in your voiceover business, and not have a great woman as well. And this time around, we have one of the veterans in the industry, not just in the voiceover world, but also generally across the media. I'm talking about the broadcast media, the TV, radio, what have you. She's one of the founding members of AVOA, and she also is the first female president of AVOA, formerly known as Daphne Atera Roberts. She's Auntie. We love to call her Auntie Daphne Ben Okagwe. I don't know if Auntie Daphne is still here. I'm sure she is. Auntie Daphne, it's lovely to see you. A beautiful evening. Can you kindly unmute your mic?
Yes, okay, I've done that. Now, first and foremost, I'm not fantastic at this, but we'll somehow get it done. Okay. Good evening,
Okay.
everybody. Thank you for that very nice introduction. Okay, it's I'll try and make mine as brief as possible. I don't think we have that much time this evening. So, I'm to talk about I beg your pardon. I'm to talk about the importance of building and maintaining strong relationships with the client for long-term success. Okay, I thought I would just go on to this to help make it as brief as possible. Now, who is the client? And who are you to the client? And what does he or she expect from you? How do you deliver and meet the client's expectations? How do you build client and customer base? Hopefully we should be able to answer all these. The client. Let's talk about the client. I would say the client is the person who dictates the tune. One individual who usually represents many others, not always. The producer, the organizer, the director, the director, the initiator, the administrator, the leader of the team, or one of the team. Sometimes the controller, the financial swing, etc. He or she often visualizes, controls, guides, etc. The interpretation and or pieces together the script, and through his or her direction brings it to life. So that's the client. And who are you? Well, you're the one who plays the tune. Your instrument, in this case your voice and skills, bring the tune or script to life and reality. Your artistry and creativity play an integral part in the production to realize the client's objectives. What are the expectations of the client? Understand this. The client expects you to make him or her look good. And by this I mean by doing exceptional work and giving excellent customer service. Because you see, when you make them look good, you make them happy. And you look good in the process. This involves good interpretation of the script, faultless delivery, pronunciation, in some cases timing, where and when necessary, relevant training. all of which ensure the production is effective and professional. And when I say relevant training, the client expects you to know it all. He expects you to bring it to the table. You must use your charisma, your creativity, and confidence to connect and communicate the message in a memorable manner. That is it in essence. Meeting the client's expectations. Well, if you understand these expectations and you relate to these expectations, then you have to understand that you must provide professional customer service at all times. Note I have at all times in capital letters. And I basically put that because it's not when you're not in the mood or when you're in the mood or when you may be under the most tremendous pressure, but you are expected to provide professional service. Professional means punctuality, proficiency on the job, understanding and interpreting your script and the directions that are given to you, respecting and responding to direction, showing integrity, and integrity is very important, exhibiting courtesy, handling feedback and revision positively, and honoring the teamwork relationship. Now, what do I mean by handling feedback and revision positively? Because you will get feedback sometimes on the job or in between jobs, and you must be able to handle them properly to be able to input them in what you're doing. Honoring the teamwork relationship. Yes, the teamwork relationship. That's something that's very important, and we shall talk about it very quickly. Okay, I just got a message from Joy that my audio is very poor, it's very low. I wonder why. Let's see now. Well, I'm touching, hopefully, the right button. Customer base, but at least you can see what I'm talking about. So hopefully that's helping us. Customer base coming back for more. And here I thought I'd give you a little story, and I do hope, because I'm trying to speak louder, that you can hear this story. Let's say I have an event. It's a very important event. I want to make an impression, a positive impression. So I go to a boutique. And while I'm there, I spend hours, what seems like too many hours, but I spend hours, and I find what I finally believe is the right outfit. It suits my complexion, it flatters my figure, the usual things that women look for. So I get this outfit. And then the boutique owner tells me that she's very sorry, but she hasn't got it in my size. Now, of course, I'm disappointed, and I'm just quelling at the thought of having to go through the whole process again of trying to find another suitable outfit. And then she says to me, don't worry, I'm calling the manufacturer, I'm getting this outfit for you, you will have it in time to go to your event, etc. And she does so. And the outfit is delivered the next day. I go there to pick it up.
Not only did she deliver on her promise, she gave me a complimentary gift that actually, enhanced the outfit. And I left there, of course, with what kind of impression? That's a question I put back to you. And this can go for both men and women. Obviously, I saw this woman as my go-to person. She gave me good service. I felt she was reliable. I felt that she was someone I could trust in a jam. And I recommended her to other people. And basically, this is what it's all about. Because when you talk about in your customer base, basically, this is what you want to do. You want to leave whoever it is you're dealing with feeling that they can come to you when the chips are down. You're going to give them a good job. You're going to make them look good. You're going to make them happy. And they're so happy that they now tell others about you. So it's a simple enough matter, okay? Basically, you must ultimately, sorry. No, you must ultimately, the better you are, the more you prove yourself and the more clients you get. It's as simple as that. I say it again. The better you are, the more you prove yourself, the more clients you get. Now, on related matters, talking about keeping your customers or getting new ones, teamwork is very important. You must build on mutual respect, similar goals, and recognition of mutual needs. You have a need, they have a need. They want a good job. You want to deliver a good job. You must treat as you really would like to be treated. So you don't keep them waiting because you don't want to be kept waiting. Self-work, you must be passionate. Work on yourself. You must strive for excellence at all times, regardless of the situation. I mean, when I think back to my years, I've had to work in broom cupboards. I've had to work on the sets of drama programs. I've had to work in all kinds of places. But you never heard that in the job I did. And that's a challenge, but it's something you have to keep in mind. It's your responsibility to upgrade and promote yourself, to make yourself relevant. I have so enjoyed Lekon. I must tell you this. I've learned a lot. I have a lot of questions for this young man. In fact, you make me feel like coming out of retirement. So I've learned a lot from you, from what you just said today. And you're right, you must keep yourself relevant. And also, King, I've learned a lot as well. But this is something I've always tried to do. You must brand yourself positively. There are no off days. You have one opportunity to make the first impression. You don't go and come back. So you must make sure it's a good one. Because you can't come back and say, well, you know, that day actually you see, it was, nobody wants to hear. Nobody has time. There are just too many people in this job. So you have to make sure that when you go for it and you go for it well. So that's also something else. And I must bring up integrity as well. You know, when we talk about having nurturing and having a long-term relationship with your client, you must understand also that there are boundaries. I have clients I've known before I was single. Okay, that's a long time. Some of them are retired. But the point is, you can still be friends or associates, but you don't have to get further than that, especially when it comes to opposite sexes. You must be very careful. You do not necessarily want to give the wrong signals and for it to be taken the wrong way. Because then what you do, it affects your integrity. If you become known for being loose, and sorry, I have to say this, it happens both sexes, then you're seen that way. And it's terrible the way that kind of information just flies. And before you know where you are, this is the name or the reputation you have in so many different places. So if we're talking locally, you know, then this is something to watch out for. Make sure you have boundaries. Make sure you give respect so that it's a lot easier to get respect. Basically, that's where I want to leave it because I think we could go on all day if we continue like this. So let me just put it down. These are the takeaways. Know your client, because when you know your client, that's it. Whether your client is, Leko has told us about clients abroad who want you to sound the way you should sound or whatever. And then you have clients who don't want you to sound like that. So know your client. And when you know your client, then you understand your client's expectations and you know what you have to deliver. Next, deliver your best. No off days. Your best is best always, all the time. And finally, reinforce. You keep doing this all the time. It becomes part of your nature. It becomes part of your brand. It becomes you. That's it. Thank you so much for listening.
Wow. Thank you very much, Auntie Daphne. Please let's give her a round of applause. Use the emojis if you really enjoyed this. I'm sure you did enjoy it. And I mean, for a free webinar, again, I say this is a whole lot of information. Thank you, Auntie Daphne. Thanks to AVOA as well for deeming it fit to organize such a webinar and we're all beneficiaries of it. Auntie Daphne has spoken well. I wanted to actually introduce her more, but she was able to speak, and I didn't want to cut in a line of thought. So some of you are wondering, we just talked about Auntie Daphne being a pioneer member of AVOA and also the first female president of AVOA. She also worked for prestigious organizations like the BBC Service, World Service for Africa, FRCN, VON, Lagos Live. She has Lifetime Achievement Awards by ABVA. She is a consultant, a media consultant, a presenter, a trainer, an educationist, and a whole lot of other things that Auntie Daphne does. And this career has been since the 80s, and she's still standing strong today. Thank you very much, ma'am, once again. Well, we've come to the point where we'll take questions, and I know people here have questions. Hands are being raised right now. Because of our time, we can't take all of those questions. However, I would just say that we'll be able to take about 4 questions at most. And this cuts across any of the sessions. So if there's something that was said in any session that you think you need more clarity on and you want to ask a question about, please raise your hand and I will then oblige that you speak. I'm trying to find them on my screen right now. I think UC Royal, your hands are being raised. So yeah, UC Royal, please go on. Ask a question, and then we'll take Gordon Okelinga, and then we'll have Omar Vuayen. Please go on.
Okay. So I think for me, my question, first of all, thank you so much to all of the speakers who spoke today. I mean, I've learned so much, and I completely admire like a whole lot of you, and I'm following some of you. I don't even use the word truly, to be honest, but I am following a whole lot of you and just learning from your work. So really, the question I wanted to ask has to do with pricing. I know that we talked about maybe if you're starting, having to do jobs for free and all of that. But is it advisable to have like different rates and price rates for, different genres of voiceover that you do, or maybe different kinds of voiceover projects that you do for clients? That's just basically one question I have. And then the second question, should your demo contain all of your areas of versatility, or should you like have different demos for different genres of voice acting, say for instance narration, commercial voiceovers, and all the others? Can one demo reel contain just all of your area of versatility? So those are just the 2 questions.
Okay. Thank you very much, Yusuriel. Just one question I have for you, because I know the question might have been inspired by a session by any of our speakers. So if there's someone, any of the speakers you'd like to answer that question based on the session that we're, taking us on, would you mind letting us know whom you'd like to direct the question to?
Okay, so King E can answer the question. King E can answer the question.
Both of them, I guess.
Yes, King E.
All right.
Yes, both of them, yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Kingi, over to you now.
Hello. Okay. I think the second one is the one I remember right now.
Demo. Yeah.
Yes, about the demo. Yes, some people would say that you should record a demo that has all what you can do, right? You can hear me, right?
Yes, we can.
All right, fantastic. You should have all you can do. But for me, over time, one thing I've come to realize is that sending out your demo with some specifics, or being specific about your demo, is quite important, right? Take, for instance, a brand has a project and that production is animation, and they are looking for voiceover talents, and they say, oh, we want voiceover talents to send in their demos. And then you send a demo that is IVR, or that is commercial. Now the truth is that the entire team is not thinking of a commercial project. Their headspace is on animation. So you'll probably be wasting their time sending a commercial demo, because at that point, they don't want to listen to a commercial demo. All they're thinking about for any demo that you're sending should be animation. All right, except you're not sure what projects they want to use it for. Then you probably send something that has maybe a couple of genres, so that they just select, right? But I usually would advise that you should, when someone says, or a client says, send in your demo, you should know more about the project and what they want to do with that. It helps you to streamline what you're sending to them, because it's all about saving time at the end of the day, and the decision has to be taken from different voiceover talents. If they have 50 voiceovers to listen to because of that particular project, they may not want to spend time wasting time listening to what is not aligning with their projects. All right, so the advice is have demos that with different genres, and have some that are pretty specific for specific projects. That's what I think that is.
Thank you very much, King. I'll just remind you of the first question is about putting a price on your voiceover works. So different genre of voiceovers, do you put different prices on them, or maybe generalize?
Yes, absolutely. No, it can't be. There are different projects. You have to address them that way. But bottom line is one of the reasons why I feel like AVOA is in a very top position is because there's a foundation that AVOA has created over time, and still, that most of us ride on. There are basics to these things. There's a foundation, or the starting point. And the good thing is that you can grow as far as you want to go, but you need to understand the basic. When the foundation is not there, what shall the righteous do? So find out the foundation of some of these things, and I'm sure that AVOA is currently in works with its members and some people to put together a more robust what's it called now? Rate card for everybody to see, or for people who are, of course, part of AVOA. Right, you want to start from that foundation. There's the price for commercial. There's the price for IVR. You don't charge the way you charge for commercials with IVRs. IVR might just be voice prompts that are a few seconds. And if you start saying, "Oh, I want you to pay me 50K per voice prompt," now only you go know where you go see the work. All right, so. You want to try as much as you can to understand these basic differences. If someone says, "Oh, I want to do a documentary," for instance, and it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you don't want to say, "Oh, it's 50K." No, you want to give a more robust fee that covers that length of work. All right. So the advice would be find out, do your research, find out what these things are. But I don't think this webinar is for talking price and how much you're supposed to charge, except there's room for that. But find out. Check out more. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, King E. And let's go to the next question now. Gordon Okelinga, kindly unmute your mic and let's hear your question and who it's addressed to as well.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm grateful for this opportunity. I've really learned a lot, and I'm saying thank you to the organizers, to the team, and everybody. So my question, I think it was when Mr. Ahmed was speaking, he was talking about voices, accents, and the rest. I'm just new into it, and I've been doing a few things. I did some of them with my phone. Then my question is, recently I did something. I played for a client I'm hoping to do something for. And he was talking about maybe your voice should be deep, and I'm not naturally a deep voice person. So I'm thinking, is it possible that I have to maybe change my voice sometimes for me to get gigs or something like that, or should I just stay natural? Because I was feeling like maybe if my voice is sounding all the same every time, people will not get to like it much. People just, when they hear it, becomes like, oh, I know this person already. So that was how I was looking at it. And then I want to know, should I just stick to my natural voice, or do I have to be changing and trying to do some things every now and then? Because recently I did something, and then I went to the studio to do it. So the guy had to.
Okay, I can't hear you anymore, but Gordon, thank you for that question.
Add some effect to the voice, make it deep. It was not really sounding like
All
me
right, Gordon. Yeah,
in cases like that.
yeah. All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Ahmed, over to you.
Okay, Don's first thing, don't record with your phone. And to definitely said something that you must put your best foot forward. Like that's your major selling points. If you're a voice talent and you believe in the business around your work, your voiceover work, don't do a recording with your phone. It's not advisable. Because the moment anybody sees that, like, oh, here's that, it's like, what's this one? There's no way your phone will give you the kind of quality that you deserve. So that's number one. I just have to point that out. Never record with your phone. Find a way. It's a business. You have to invest, find a studio, do a proper demo. That helps. Then for the other part, when I started the conversation, when I started my session rather, I did say something about the movements in the voiceover industry. So before now, it used to be you must have a big voice. You was a micro. They call it microphone voice. But trust me, the voiceover business has moved beyond that. I have a big voice, but I can tell you the number of jobs that they have said no to me, not because I'm not because I can't deliver those jobs, but because my voice was deeper or too deep for those scripts. And sometimes they'll be like, I like the way you delivered it, but can you make it a bit lighter? Can you take it up a bit? At the moment you start doing that with me, I just know this is not my script because I can't sound natural. So if somebody's telling you you need a deep voice, you need to, that's not true. Well, sadly in Nigeria, some people still do it. But trust me, if you're doing this as a business, you have to look beyond the shores of Nigeria, look outside. Find your niche. Find your niche. Develop yourself around your niche. Stand there. Stand there. There are a lot of people who do not have deep voices who are doing very well in the voiceover industry today. In Nigeria, I can call names. We have some of them here on the platform. Like they are pros. They're making their money cool. King E is laughing. He knows them. So you don't necessarily need to have a deep voice. Anybody who is telling, there are scripts for people who have deep voices. You know, when if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. Everybody cannot. I think so. It was Daphne that said it. Okay, no, it was King E that said he brought different spoons and was trying to say this spoon is for this. There's a market for everyone. All you need to do is just find your niche, craft yourself properly, stand there, carry it to your full chest, project it, and you start seeing your script. And the good thing about it is the moment you see your first script, there's this referral thing. That's the way it works. We did this thing. I like the second one will come, the third one, the fourth one, it keeps coming. So whoever is telling you make your voice sound deep to get jobs, no, I'm not in support of that. I don't think any core professional will be in support of that.
All right.
Stick to your niche, develop yourself properly, and you're good to go.
All right. Thank you very much, Ahmed. We don't have time on our sides, and we just want to take 4 questions. I see more hands up right now, but we can't do more than 4. So, Omar Vuyen, would you like to ask a question now? Please, if you want to do so, unmute your mic. Let's hear you. By the way, I mean, randomly, those questions, some of you, if we can't take your questions, you can drop them in the chat session. We have professionals there that would answer. I can see Eric Maximus Ekweme. Shout out to Eric Maximus. He's one of the OGs here. All right. I think Omar Vuyen is unavailable at the moment. We have Ayola Martin. Ayola Muniz. Apologies for that. Please.
No problem.
Yeah.
Yes, and Ayola Muniz. Just in support, just to give support to what Mr. Olaleko already said, that you don't have to like deepen your voice or whatever to satisfy someone. Be yourself. I'll give an example. When I auditioned for Super Strikers, I didn't even know what they wanted. I just went there, I did my thing, and I left. It was later that I got to know that it was just a lousy, a glutton character that they needed me to voice for. I didn't know anything. My brother, be yourself. If they don't need it, if they don't want it, another production outfit would definitely need that particular voice texture. Retain it, hold on to it. Nobody's going to take it away from you if it's yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ayola Muniz. So we still have 2 questions to go because that was a contribution and not exactly a question. So Praise Mba, you can take the stage now. Would love to hear your question. Okay, Praise is already typing a question. I'll probably just go ahead to read it. Trying to look for it now. And Praise, you can unmute to ask, okay, is AVOA open for membership? How do we become a part of AVOA? Okay, that question is actually out of the context of the conversation right now. But before the end of this webinar, we'll be having the General Secretary of AVOA in person of Joy Ogbekene. She will be talking to us a bit about AVOA. So if that's the question, let's take another person. Roslyn Jethro Ajagbe, kindly unmute yourself and let's hear from you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Roslyn.
Okay, so it's my question. I like to make a request. I don't know if it's allowed.
Okay, let's hear it quickly.
Okay, please, I don't know if anyone is looking to recruit a mentee because I've been doing my best, attending all the webinars, following the particular classes and all of that, but I still feel like I'm lost. So in case anybody has space for one person is very calm, I'm not a stubborn person. I'm fast to learning things. I'm open for recruitment, adoption, and all of it.
Okay, so Roslyn, it was quite difficult hearing you, but I think you're talking about training or mentorship or something.
Yes, please.
All right. As it has been said, we should go for training. Uncle Bimbo said that before you even start, get trained, and that's why we have some of our respected speakers here. I can categorically say that the voiceover workshop and media is into training of voice talent and aspiring ones as well. So King E is the founder of the voiceover workshop. Go on Instagram and find them, or you can go to www.thevoiceoverworkshop.com and you find out more about that. I think that would answer your question. You can also check out for more training options on the internet or across Nigeria. Okay, I think we can take just one more question, and let's see whose hand is up. Olusegun Okediji, you're the last person we'll be hearing from right now. So kindly unmute yourself. Let's hear your question.
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I have 2 questions to ask. Number 1, I want to know, does a certain kind of microphone have an effect on the output, the outcome of voiceover production? And I would also like to know, maybe there's a specific recommendation for a particular mic need to be used if I have my own studio for a better production. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't want to be specific as to who to answer this question now, but any of the speakers that would like to respond to that, please, you can unmute and.
Ahmed.
Hello.
Ahmed.
Okay. Over.
No, we know who has international mics.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I advise that you go for an SM58. Your SM58 is very, very good for it if it's multi-directional. If it's not multi-directional, the unidirectional is also okay. If it's SM58, SM58, if not, go for an iRig. Apart from the studio microphones, the normal studio mic, since you're thinking of just getting started, just go for sure SM58 or iRig, and iRig will be okay as a starter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Kingi, do you want to add to what has been said? I knew you wanted
to a very large extent, I have nominated Ahmed to respond to that question. But just to breeze in a bit, the first question is whether a microphone has the capacity to affect the quality of your voice. Yes, it does. All right, the kind of mic you use, there are some mics that are specifically for trailer voiceovers. Some are, when you need something that is a bit big and calm and stuff like that. Okay, and there are some that you can just use across board. But as you grow higher in the industry, sometimes this thing is about how much money you have to spend, which is why the question now has to hit Ahmed, because I think he uses one of the most expensive mics that we have in the industry here in Nigeria. So Ahmed, if you don't
yeah. Yeah, see, don't set me up. But let me just add. Let me add quickly. So yes, in as much as the mic plays a huge role, but the mic should not be the major determinant. Because for me, I think I had this conversation. I had an interview some 2 weeks back, and I had somebody ask the same question. So one of the biggest VO gigs I've ever done, like in my entire VO career, I did that gig with the cheapest mic I've ever used. This Scarlett, this 3-in-1 Scarlett,
solo,
the sound
combo.
card. Yes, I think I bought that. I bought the entire pack. It came with a sound card, a headphone, and the mic. I bought it for around 45,000 naira, and that was a long time ago. It was that mic. If I use that mic now, the way it sounds funny. Maybe because I've used a couple of other mics, and I can tell the difference. The point I'm trying to make is the mic is good, but it's not the most important thing you should look at. Matter of fact, your recording space, to me, I feel your recording space, it's better to pay more attention to your recording space than your mic. Because if you have a good recording space, you'll be shocked at what a USB mic will produce. You might have a good mic, fantastic mic, and you record in a bad space, poorly treated space acoustically. It will come out badly. But when you record in a well-treated space, with a fairly good mic, it passes. So don't pay too much attention to the mic. This is not to scare you. Don't say, because I don't have 200,000 naira to buy this mic, so I have to wait till I have that much money. No, not necessarily. Work on the space. Get something that you can afford right now. So as you grow, you improve the quality and so on and so forth.
Thank you very much, Olaliko Ahmed, for that response. And I hope that that has given clarity to the question asked by whoever asked the question. I'm sorry, I forgot your name now. More comments are coming in the comment section, so you might want to check that out so you get good positive feedback for the question you asked. Just like Ayola Muni said, you can get a Shure SM58. I started with that actually, but then it's a low budget mic. So as you grow, as you climb the ladder, you can get better mics and study the type of mics that works. There are lots of reviews on YouTube as regards different types of mics. So before you go for a mic, also watch those YouTube reviews, check out the prices and other things, because certain mics won't work without an audio interface or a sound card. Certain mics are USB mics that work directly with your computer. So you need to do a bit of research in this regard. So thank you very much. We've done a lot of talking now. We've had the real session itself or sessions, and now we've just had a couple of questions. The webinar is about to come to an end. I want to once again say thank you to everyone that has been here. Some people have been here since the beginning of this webinar, and they're still here with us. We really do appreciate you. And as we're going to come to the end of this webinar, but before we get to the end of the webinar, I'd like to invite one of the executive members of AVOA. She has been actively involved in the process of putting this together, and I really appreciate our contributions. Joy Ogbekene, who is the General Secretary of AVOA. Joy, if you can, just take out some time to talk to us. I know you've been very busy behind the scene. Joy, are you there? Hi, good evening, Joy. Yeah, so Good evening. We just want to hear a thing or two from you as regards AVOA and any other thing you'd like to mention before we close.
No problem. But before I start, do I sound clear?
Yes, you do.
Okay. So, thank you very much, T-Code. And ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of an incredible voiceover webinar. And I believe I speak for everyone when I say that we've had such an educational and valuable experience. And we've been fortunate enough to hear from some of the industry's most accomplished professionals in voice acting. So throughout this event, we've been able to learn from their expertise on a range of topics and, securing VO gigs locally and internationally, maintaining client relationships, finding your voice, self-promotion, gaining insight. I'm sure if we didn't have time constraints, the speakers would have just spoken on and on from their wealth of experience. So I hope that you've all found this event as interesting and as informative as I have. And I would like to thank all our speakers, Mrs. Daphne Ben Okagwe, AVOA's first female president and one who is considered the matriarch of female voiceovers in Nigeria, Mr. Bimbo Manuel, veteran actor par excellence, Ahmed Olalikon, the suave, smooth voice, and Kinky, esteemed gentleman, industry expert, Oga of Voiceover Workshop. Thank you all very, very much. I'm not forgetting you, T-Code. You've done a fantastic job. Thank you so much. I would also like to thank all attendees. Yes, every one of you. You've all contributed to this event's success. Thank you all very much. Now, about AVOA. AVOA is very committed to the growth of the voiceover industry and its members. We are also committed to giving value and being a resource center for information and career growth in voiceover artistry. And thankfully, we have veterans amongst us who have paved the way for the young ones in this industry, and they are willing to guide us. So if you'd like to join AVOA or know more about AVOA or have questions or concerns, please send a WhatsApp message to a dedicated number. I hope you have your pens, notepads ready. Send your messages, your questions, inquiries, whatever you have to 0812 455 2848. I'll call the number again, 0812 455 2848. Please send your messages to this number and chat. Chat will be faster than calls, and all your inquiries will be attended to. So thank you very much for joining us today, and we hope you use the knowledge gotten today to take your career to the next level. One more thing, please make sure you talk about your great experience at this webinar. Make sure you talk about it on your social media handles and tag AVOA Nigeria. Thank you very, very much. God bless you all. Over to you, T-Code.
All right, thank you very much, Joy. That was the voice of Joy Beckene. Joy is also, a firebrand in the industry, and you'll be hearing more of her later. And I also believe that more developments like this will be happening from AVOA as we continue to push for the better voiceover industry that we desire. So thank you, everybody. My name is Tolulope Kolade, and it's been my pleasure to host this webinar. You call me T-Code, that's my nickname. And if there's any other information I think is relevant for me to share, is that I run or I host a podcast that is about voiceovers as well. So if you want to learn a lot about voiceovers, listen to interviews that I've conducted with voice talents across Nigeria and Africa, from South Africa, from Ghana, from Kenya, different parts of the world, Zambia. You can check my podcast in any podcast listening platform. The title is Everything Voiceovers Podcast, The African Perspective. And certainly there's a lot to learn. Everything Voiceovers Podcast, The African Perspective. Also try to follow us all. I can't literally just mention everybody's Instagram handle right now, but just type our names on Instagram, on Facebook, or wherever it is, and you can find us, and you get connected to everything that we do to a very large extent, and you'll be inspired. Well, that's it for today. I want to say a big thank you to everybody once again. The president, unfortunately, is not here right now, but he was here at the beginning of the webinar. And I hope that next time we'll be able to gather again to have an interesting webinar. So, ladies and gentlemen, in just 1 minute, because it's a voiceover webinar, right? So I'd just like to hear our voices. In 1 minute, we can all unmute our mics. I know it's going to sound very rowdy and noisy and, maybe like a marketplace, but let's just enjoy the sound of our voices before, and that will be a countdown.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be here.
Thank you,
Thank
Awa.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was amazing.
No, I do hear
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ndị be anyị na-emeela ndewo.
And I'll be closing the first webinar in the next 10 seconds.
And I uncle now well, you.
10,
I do well.
9,
My people are great
8,
now. Now well done.
7,
God bless you, Awa. Thank you,
5,
Awa.
4,
Hello.
3, 2,
2, 1.
1. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
And
Thank you,
see you
guys.
next.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.